In 1995, a board game designed by a mild-mannered technician working at his family dental laboratory in Darmstadt, Germany, hit the board gaming scene and would go on to change the hobby forever. That game was, of course, The Settlers of Catan. Recently shortened to just Catan, this beautifully elegant design has sold over 30 million copies worldwide and has been translated into over 40 languages. Since its release, Catan has had over 40 expansions and variations published, and even a Catan-inspired escape room in Frankfurt, Germany. Today, in 2019, back for its 20th anniversary, we're boarding a rocket to the stars, taking Catan into the outer reaches of the universe with CATAN Starfarers. In the second half of the 20th century, mainstream board gaming consisted of what were traditionally considered games targeted at young children and their families. Games like Monopoly, Sorry, Snakes and Ladders littered store shelves. Hobbyist gamers were searching for something deeper, something more complex that they could sink their teeth into. In North America, these games primarily consisted of Risk, Axis and Allies, Fortress America, just to name a few. It's been said that European gamers living with the memory of World War II, games involving war didn't resonate quite as well, so designs turned to more peaceful and constructive styles of gameplay. Thus, the Eurogame was born. In the late 70s and early 80s, games about farming, city and civilization building, shipping and commerce were becoming more and more popular with European countries, but it wouldn't be until 1995 that the North American market would be exposed to the Eurogame that would usher in a new golden age of tabletop gaming. In the 80s and early 90s, Klaus Teuber worked as a technician at his father's dental laboratory. Working at the lab didn't prove to be a fulfilling life, as it was filled with stress and frustration. He turned to his other passion of tabletop gaming as an escape. His first official game design was Barbarossa and the Riddle Masters, inspired by a novel he was reading at the time, The Riddle Master, by Patricia A. McKillop. Board game design was a refuge for him. It took his mind to faraway places, leaving behind the mundanities of life. It wasn't until his mind was whisked away to the Viking tales that he would conceive of his masterpiece. Vikings landing on Iceland would need building materials to construct homes in their growing settlement. He wanted to bring this concept to the tabletop, so he began on his next project. In the original game of Catan, players have landed on an uncharted island with intent of making a new life for themselves. Players start with 2 settlements on the board, and on their turn, roll 2 dice to see which spaces generate resources for you and the other players. With these resources, you can build roads, more settlements, and upgrade your settlements into cities. You can rarely be completely self-sufficient, though, so you'll need to trade resources with the other players for the ones you're lacking. Each settlement and city will score you victory points, and the first player to 10 wins the game. Catan showed gamers that games could be something more fulfilling. Strategy and shrewd dealings are the road to success. Games could provide you with a feeling of purpose as you built towards a goal, as opposed to crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. Complexity requiring thought and careful planning were finally possible, but the designs were still elegant enough for younger members of the family to join in and actually succeed. Board games had been redefined. In the middle of the 3rd millennium, humanity colonized and began harvesting the resources from the planets and moons of our solar system. Upon discovering a previously unknown crystalline substance deep beneath the surface of Saturn's moons, Earth scientists developed a means of travel several times the speed of light, thus enabling starfarers to leave our system. Before long, humanity settled on the uninhabited planets discovered during their travels. Your civilization starts with 2 colonies and 1 spaceport. Your colonies and spaceports are always built adjacent to 2 resource-rich planets. On your turn, you'll roll 2 dice to determine which of the planets will produce for you and your opponents. Early in your mission to colonize the galaxy, you're still receiving aid from Earth. The rolling player receives free resources, but as you expand outwards, this aid will slowly diminish. To expand your empire, you'll need to build transport, colony, and trade ships, each costing a combination of resources you've collected. But similarly to the Vikings that settled the Atlantic island of Catan in the ancient times, it will be important to barter and trade with your fellow human colonists to make up the resources you're lacking. Ships are built at spaceports and are used to explore the galaxy with hopes of discovering new uninhabited planets to lay down roots. Your mothership represents the technology level of your fleet. When traversing the great expanse, you'll shake your mothership, and the colored balls that fall into the engine cone will determine how far your ships can go. Using your collected resources, you can build upgrades to your ship in the form of booster rockets that will increase the distance you could travel each turn. Anytime a black ball falls into your engine cone, it represents a chance encounter with an alien race. These encounters typically ask you to make a choice. Each alien race you meet throughout the galaxy has different motivations, and you'll have to choose wisely. The green folk live in complete harmony with the natural world. Farming, mining, and efficient production of fuel comes natural to them. Allying with the green folk will increase your resource production capabilities. The scientists have mastered advanced starship technology. Friendly relations with the scientists will surely boost the speed and strength of your starships. The charismatic diplomats maintain good relations with all the civilizations of the galaxy. Gaining their help can increase an ally's fame, reducing tribune demands, and persuade rich colonies to send resources to poorer ones. And finally, the merchants are a proud civilization. Utilizing massive trade vessels, they transport interstellar goods throughout the galaxy. One custom common amongst merchants is the expectation of a diplomatic gift. If they accept your gift, they'll respond in kind. But if they're offended by your offering, unpleasant and sometimes disastrous repercussions await. Trade ships can establish trade stations on alien outposts. You'll need to be consistently upgrading your ship with freight pods to be accepted by the alien merchants. Some planets you discover will initially be uninhabitable and will need some work to be livable. Ice planets are barren wastes that require terraformation. Having freight pods will allow you to transform the planet into an acceptable place to settle. And some further planets are a safe harbor for the intergalactic pirates. Outfitting your ship with cannons will see to it that these pirates never mess with an Earth colony again. Building colonies and spaceports, earning the respect and friendship of the various alien races, and dealing with tough encounters will earn you victory points. The first player to 15 points will be the winner. From the Viking settlers, the seafarers, the cities and knights throughout the histories of the world, and now back to space again 20 years later, Catan has been introducing people to the wonderful world of board games. Like so many others, I myself got my start down the long road of the board gaming hobby with the Settlers of Catan in 2003, and there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about those Friday nights around the table with my best friends, trading wood for sheep and expanding my tiny empire across the island of Catan. The impact Catan has had on us and our hobby is immeasurable, and its legacy will outlive us all, and will likely be played in some faraway galaxy in the distant future. Thank you so much for joining us for the first installment of the CATAN Starfarers Tabletop Showcase. Make sure to check out the other installments by Pair of Dice Paradise, Watch It Played, Rolling Dice and Taking Names, and Drive Through Games. If you dug this video, you can find our Tabletop Gaming Podcast at thesecretcabal.com.